Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. How are you? Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, now we will come to today's news. Although I think it's been fairly obvious since the start that this was going to happen. But it seems as though it is no longer speculation. Donald Trump is officially back, some would say better than ever. He's ready to take on the establishment, folks. It is unofficially, and I honestly think the Democrats, at least as of now, are hopeless to stop them. It's getting real, folks, as the resurgence of Donald Trump continues. The comeback kid, the revenge tour continues. Alright, folks, so mostly Donald Trump has been extremely vague, and most of what we've been saying has been total speculation into whether or not he's going to run. I mean, my stance has not changed. I don't think anything on earth is going to stop Donald Trump from running, but just the other day at his rally, the Dawn 45 said this, Trump said. Getting millions more votes in 2020 than we got in 2016. And now, in order to make our country successful, safe and glorious again, I will probably have to do it again. Well, he's running, folks, it's happening. And I think Donald Trump is more confident than ever. I mean, think about his 2016 run, which was honestly a very similar premise. Donald Trump was clearly agitated with the direction of the country. And so he said, if no one's going to do it, then I will. That's what sparked the whole thing. Well, the situation is very similar. Now, it's a call to action. Considering everything that's happened over the last 2 years since his first time, he clearly feels the same responsibility. I think the same motivation from the 2016 race applies currently, except there is a major difference between the two races in 2016. He was a total wildcard. The chances that he would actually take down Hillary Clinton seems slim to none. He wasn't really taken seriously as a political threat to the status quo or the Democratic establishment. Well, no longer is that the case. Donald Trump is basically leading across the board, and most importantly, in the most pivotal races, the most important states. Donald Trump is crushing his current opponent. In the 2020 election, it was a lot rougher for Donald Trump, because Joe Biden was relatively popular coming off his time in the Obama administration. Joe Biden was clearly a better candidate than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was just the worst. Well, after these 2 years of Sleepy Joe, I think he's in a very similar situation. And it's like I mentioned the video that I recorded a couple days ago, Joe Biden has been the greatest catalyst to Donald Trump's increased popularity, and clearly the Don is paying attention. I mean, on Truth Social just the other day he posted this poll showing him up against Biden in Ohio by 20 percentage points. Clearly, he's paying attention. He understands that he's more popular than he's ever been before. And there's just no way he's not going to run. There's no way that his ego is not going to let him run. Look. For better or worse, Donald Trump is a man of ego. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I personally believe that ego is an important part of manhood, at least when it's controlled. Donald Trump has a very healthy ego. Let's leave it at that. And so there was never any question in my mind that he wasn't coming back. I mean, the sour taste that he must have had left in his mouth over the last couple of years, being the prideful man, that he is now seeing the clear present opportunity to take down the Democrat establishment, that did everything in their power to destroy him and consequentially destroy America. There is zero chance that Donald Trump isn't hitting it back in a way. This has become his calling. And my prediction here is if Republicans win a sweeping victory in the midterms, Donald Trump is going to announce his run, and I think he's going to start campaigning early because Republicans take control of the Senate and the House, and they continue to serve their purpose of blocking Joe Biden's legislative agenda. I think the Republican Party is going to turn Joe Biden into a true lame duck over the next 2 years, and all the meanwhile Donald Trump is going to be campaigning. Donald Trump is going to be slamming Joe Biden in an epic cross-country tour, and it's already getting started. We're getting reports now that Donald Trump's 757 Trump Horse 1 is officially back in action. CNN was reporting on it the other day. Trump Force. And then, this is some big news, Liz Cheney has fallen apart. She's literally going nuts. She's accusing the top leadership of the GOP of being pro-Putin. And now she's scared to death of having Trump testified before the J6 committee on live TV. We're gonna see for ourselves just how much Cheney is melting down, and what her soon-to-be absence from power means for the future of the Republican leadership. You're not gonna want to miss this. Liz Cheney was unmute the depressed yesterday. In fact, They were so depressed that Chuck Todd actually devoted a full third of his show to this failed, miserable swamp creature. And it didn't take long to find out that her temper tantrums against Trump are now extending to more and more people. Here's Cheney's take on the presumed Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. You're not gonna believe it. Everyone listen to this. Talk about a Speaker Kevin McCarthy. You clearly think this is a mistake, that he will. You're concerned about his speakership. What specifically concerns you? And Liz Cheney said, well, look, the Speaker is second in line to the presidency. And at every moment, as since, frankly, the aftermath of the election in 2020, when Minority Leader McCarthy has had the opportunity to do the right thing, or do something that serves his own political purpose, he always chooses to serve his own political purpose. And, that extends to what we've seen, just in the last few days with these comments about aid to Ukraine. The idea that somehow the party is now no longer going to support the Ukrainian people, which, for somebody who has a picture of Ronald Reagan on the wall in his office in the Capitol. The notion that now Kevin McCarthy is going to make himself the leader of the pro-Putin wing of my party is just a stunning thing. It's dangerous, he knows better, but the fact that he's willing to go down the path of suggesting that America will no longer stand for freedom, I think tells you he's willing to sacrifice everything for his own political gain. So now, according to Cheney, Kevin McCarthy is the de facto head of the so-called pro-Putin wing of her party, and what Prieto was Kevin McCarthy's crime, what pray tell, pro-Putin activity was McCarthy caught red-handed in? Well, he had the audacity to come out and suggest that's the key, suggest that a Republican-led House would probably stop writing blank checks to Ukraine. That, my friend, is clearly, at least in the twisted world of Liz Cheney, that is clearly a pro-Kremlin shill. That's pure Putin propaganda right there. Boy, it don't get worse than that. I think McCarthy, when he said that, I bet he even had a bit of a Russian accent when he said it. This woman is utterly delusional. Forget what she said about McCarthy. The entire notion that this woman who lost her primary election by over 40 points, the notion that this woman has any serious contribution to make to the Republican Party is beyond absurd. That's not hyperbole. Chuck Todd of Meet the Depressed demonstrated there in his interview that both he and Cheney, they're literally living inside their own simulated, fabricated narratives that have no correlation to what actually exists. But if that weren't bad enough, wait to see what else she had to say. It's beyond belief. Another example of Cheney's reprieve from reality happened the other day, when she said that under no uncertain terms would she ever allow President Trump to testify before the J6 committee on live TV. I kid you to, after all the cinematic fanfare, we're supporting Trump to get the truth out of them once and for all after all of that. But it's got to be done behind closed doors. Trump is love. Trump is like, you want me to testify in front of you clowns? Bring it on. It'll be the highest rated television moment in history. Let's do it. And what does Cheney do? No, you can't. She runs away and hides. Fox News' Brit Hume had a masterful response to all this. He quoted Cheney saying that she wasn't going to allow Trump to turn the January 6th committee into a, quote, circus. Hume responded with 3 brilliant words. Says the ringmaster. Ring. That's so perfect. That's a perfect description of Liz Cheney. Cheney is the director of the circus. That's what she is. She's the chief clown. Someone tweeted out that Trump should bring a box of clown noses for the committee, if or when he comes in to testify. That would be utterly amazing. But clearly, as you can see, no one but the most adamant and frankly depressed Democrat takes Liz Cheney seriously at this point. Molly Hemingway over at The Federalist had a great piece out, entitled Liz Cheney's Plan to Divide the Republican Party Has Failed. It's a very interesting piece, because what it does is it shows how Republican leadership of the last few decades has learned to benefit itself off of the Democrat dominance in Washington, D.C. and American politics in general. And this is a dominance, as I understand, that came largely from the FDR era, where Roosevelt really did recalibrate federal politics around big labor, big business and big government. And what Republicans have had to do is they've had to adjust themselves as, in effect, the conservative form of this coalition. So that's what neocons are. They're former Democrats who jumped ship post-1991 after the fall of Soviet Union, because they thought a hawkish warmongering Republican Party would be much more conducive to their goals of implementing a Pax Americana of the world, exploiting and leveraging this moment, when America become the world's sole superpower. They thought the Democrats were clueless on this. So the Republican leadership gained a foothold, a very strong foothold in Democrat-dominated DC, and this is key as the neocon party. That's how they became respectable within the culture DC. And that's how DC money started making its way into the coffers of neocon politicians and advisors and administrators. Obviously, what's happened flat is that there's been a massive backlash against the permanent political class represented by both parties. And so Mollie Hemingway, the Federalist, makes the point that this DC-based partnership between Democrats and rhinos has, up until this point, been relatively successful in marginalizing and effectively dismissing these populist uprisings as extremists and kooky and dangerous. This is exactly, by the way, what they're trying to do to Doug Mastriano. Right now in Pennsylvania, you may have heard that the snake Karl Rove is behind a bunch of ads that are tacitly demonizing Mastriano and trying to get the liberal Democrat Josh Shapiro elected as Governor. Rove is actively attempting to defeat an ultra-mega Republican by financially supporting a radical woke leftist Democrat who has been an abject disaster as the Attorney General for Pennsylvania. Violent crime is skyrocketing, particularly in Philadelphia. It's absolutely insane. But again, the point here is that they're all on the same team. Democrats and neo-cons support one another, as they both try to achieve the same globalist ends in their own relatively unique ways. What Hemingway's noting here in this article is that the populist revolt is so strong now that any attempt to marginalize and demonize it isn't working anymore. And for Hemingway, that's where the J6 committee came in. It was basically a warning by Liz Cheney to the whole of the Republican leadership: you better stay away from any and all ultra-MAGA candidates. The verdict that we of course already reached before even starting the hearings is going to apply to all ultra-MAGA supporters. So stay clear, keep your distance. And what Hemingway points out is a significant amount of the Republican leadership is clearly ignoring those warnings. So you've had Senators Tim Scott, Ted Cruz come out in Ohio to campaign for J.D. Vance. You've had Senator Rick Scott campaigning on behalf of Herschel Walker in Georgia. Governor Glenn Youngkin in Virginia came out to Arizona, endorsed Kari Lake, and to make matters even worse for the permanent political class, even former Democrats now are coming out and endorsing the ultra-MAGA candidates Tulsi Gabbard as going full MAGA. She has been endorsing Madigan MAGA candidates left and right. So it really does look like the days of the neocons are coming to an end. The Republican leadership is going to start looking very differently after the midterms than it ever has before, and nothing will symbolize that change in leadership more than the permanent absence of one. Liz Cheney. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Of course, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course possibly subscribe if you're up for it. I'm gonna get back to work. I want to thank you guys for watching, and